Hello and welcome to the Underground Game Design course Unit 2. In this unit we're going to be taking a look at Kismet, which is the visual scripting interface for UDK and also other Unreal games. And we're going to be using Kismet to change the game slightly. We're going to be making more of a sort of a single player game type. And we're going to set it up so that you can, in the game, create a clone or a drone version of yourself, and then you can switch bodies with this clone by shooting the clone with the beam fire mode on your link gun, and then we're going to go from there with a few developments based on that basic premise. So, getting straight into it, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a player start. So I'm going to go to Add Actor, Add Player Start. And just make sure that this is in the right position. Yep. Move it back just a little bit. Now this is facing in the wrong direction, and so I'm just going to rotate this so that it is looking up the ramp. That's good enough. Next I'm going to add a trigger on this ramp. So again, I'll just move this here just so we can see it. Add actor, add trigger. So we have a trigger on our ramp. The last thing I'm going to add is a note somewhere around here. So coming up to the content browser, actor classes note, just make sure that that's selected, and then click here and add note here. And I'm just going to move that up just a little bit. I'm also going to, just for now, grab this trigger. Just move it so it's in the center of the ramp. I'm just going to press F4 to bring up its properties, and I'm going to uncheck hidden just so it's visible in the game. And now we can get started in Kismet. So bring up the Kismet editor, and I'm going to, with our trigger selected, new event using trigger 0, I'm going to go for touch. And what this is going to activate is new action, actor, actor factory. And when it is touched, we're going to spawn an actor. We need to change some of the options in our actor factory. Firstly, the factory setting is set to none. So what type of factory do we want? We want a UT actor factory AI. It might just be off your screen, but it's just there. And so with that selected, I'm going to come down. I'm going to give default inventory to this actor. The pawn class, I'm going to choose a UT pawn. And again, that is a little bit off screen. So come down to UT pawn. And I believe that's all that we need for that, yep. And in here, I'm going to select the note that we dropped down. And I'm going to select new object var using note 0, and we're going to use that as our spawn point. So I'm plugging the spawn point directly to note 0. And so let's just make sure that that's working. So we have a player start. I could right click on the ground and say play from here, but we might as well test this out while we're here. So there we go. We've started in the right place, we're facing the right direction, and we have our trigger visible. Now once we walk up and touch the trigger, we spawn a new pawn in our game. And despite the fact that it doesn't have a controller, so it doesn't have any AI, no deathmatch AI, for the rest of its functionality, it's pretty much identical to any bot that you'll bring into the game. You can kill him and push him around. It's just like any other pawn. Okay, so now we want to bring in that functionality that I was talking about before, where when we shoot him with the link gun beam, we actually take control of that pawn. So what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to prepare by creating a new object variable. This object variable is our new pawn, our new actor from this factory. And so when we have finished, we need to activate something else. And what I'm going to do is new action, event, attach to event. And so once we have spawned our pawn, we are going to attach to that pawn a new event. The new event is actor take damage. This means that once this pawn takes damage, something is triggered. So I'm just going to link that to that. I'll change a couple of things in the take damage. Firstly, our damage threshold is set to 100, which means that we would need to inflict enough damage to kill him to be able to take control of him. And that's not really very sensible. And I'm also going to add a damage type to our damage types index here. And the damage type I'm going to choose is UT damage type link beam. Make sure it's the beam and not the plasma. Now what we want to occur when this pawn takes damage is we want to, if we go up to new event, new action, come down to pawn, possess pawn. And so we will link that to that. And just bringing that down here, the pawn target will be the pawn that we've created, and the target, which means who is going to be the possessing controller, we're going to just make that the player. So new variable, player, player. We'll link those in. I'm just going to select that and switch off all players, which makes it default to player 0. And now with that in place, we can test this out. So there is our pawn. If we shoot him with the plasma of our link gun, all we do is damage him. If, however, we shoot him with the link beam, we should swap over to this character. So let's see if that works. Well, there's good news and bad news. Firstly, it worked, but secondly, there is a slight problem in this setup. I'm sure those of you with good observational skills will be able to pick that up. It's that this guy keeps on firing. What's more is that, as well as firing, if we come at this guy at a run-up, you'll notice that whatever we tell the computer we want to do, so everything that our character is doing, when we swap over, he keeps on doing it. So he'll keep on running, he'll keep on firing, and generally that makes it not such a good option for our game type. So that's what we're going to fix up in our next video.